best rate. If you want to send money to Nigeria, Cameroon, Ghana, anywhere in Africa, download AfriX today. We have the best rate. Transactions are ridiculously fast. Yes. Ridiculously fast.
Yes.
Within 10 seconds, money has arrived. You've sent happiness home. All right? Bye.
This is Zuli. Zuli likes to enjoy herself, but one thing Zuli also likes is to make her loved ones happy. With AfriX, making our loved ones happy is just at our fingertips, no matter the distance. AfriX is convenient, reliable, affordable, very fast, user-friendly with a wide global reach.
Wow!
Download AfriX app today and bring your loved ones closer, no matter where they are. They have amazing rates with no fee.
Hello, people. Welcome to Choco Millionaire. So the news going around is that Canada's immigration has decided to launch a brand new immigration pathway, which gives some people the opportunity to become permanent residents. All right. And this program will start on the 26th of August, 2024, which is exactly 10 days from now. If today is your first time watching Choco Millionaire, welcome to Choco Millionaire. If you're a returning viewer, I'm happy to have you here. If you do enjoy my videos, don't forget to smash the like button, drop your comments, and also subscribe to keep getting updates whenever they do come up. So the new program is targeting international students from some countries, and this program is hoping to allow or receive applications from about 2,300 300 international students. So it will be receiving 2,300 applications from international students. If you are from one of these countries that I will be talking about very soon and you meet the requirement, and when you finish your studies, you have a clear path to becoming a permanent residence. Potential to also bring your family in on an open work permit or a visitor's visa is also there. So let's go straight into the details of this program. So the program here is aiming to target the Francophone community or people with Francophone background, all right, or Francophone countries here. Now, if you know, Canada is a bilingual country. We speak both English and French. But the Francophone population in Canada continues to see a massive decline. Now, in 1971, Canada's Francophone population was around 6.34% thereabout. As we speak right now, that population has dropped significantly to just around the 3% mark. All right. So what the government is doing is to actually ramp up efforts through new immigration programs or strategies to bring in a lot more people who have Francophone speaking proficiency or who will be able to fit into the Francophone communities. So stick with me as we go through the details of this particular program to see if you are eligible or you are from a country that can participate in this program. The interesting thing about this program is that if you decide to go through it and apply for a study permit to come to Canada, you will not have the obligation to convince the RCC or the visa officer that you'll be returning back to your home country after your studies. The reason is that it's been designed straightforward to move from a study permit approval state to your studies and from there to your permanent residence. So it's quite an interesting program. Let's go into the details of it. So Canada to grant a select group of international students permanent residence upon graduation with a pilot program. A pilot program simply means that something they are testing, a program that they are hoping to test and see how it goes. That's what they mean by a pilot program. The initiative will launch on August 26th and has been touted as a flagship measure of the new Francophone immigration strategy meant to boost French-speaking population outside of the province of Quebec. Quebec is the only French-speaking province in the whole of Canada. Of course, we have other provinces where we have some Francophones or communities there, such as New Brunswick and stuff, but Quebec is the only all French-speaking province in Canada. And even Quebec is facing challenges. They keep complaining that they are losing a chunk of the Francophone residents there. And so they've also started all kinds of programs to encourage a lot more people to kind of, move in there and then maintain their Francophone identity. So it is not surprising that the government is doing this. Actually, the government has decided to also implement some of this program because they've been bashed a lot that they are trying to make Canada more Anglophone and reduce the Francophone population. So it is not surprising that they've actually started something like this. I remember this will launch officially on August 26, 2024. Ottawa, which is the seat of government of Canada, Ottawa is launching a new pilot program to attract and retain Francophone international students, providing them with a direct pathway for permanent residency in Canada after graduation. This initiative is touted as a flagship measure of the new Francophone immigration strategy meant to boost the French-speaking population outside of Quebec. This has declined since 1971 from 6.1% of the Canadian population outside the province just to about 3.5% today, threatening the country's bilingual national identity. That is from the Toronto Star. I will be reading the details for you straight from the IRCC's own website. So let's see what the IRCC itself is saying about this program. What is the name of the program? The name of the program is Francophone Minority Communities Student Pilot. Francophone Minority Community Student Pilot. All right. The link will be available in the description box. So make sure after this video, you check the description where the title is. Just make sure you look down there. I will put this link right there for you to be able to read. Take your time, read this in detail, and get all the information you need. All right. If you don't fail to read, if you fail to take advantage of some of this thing and read for yourself, an agent will package this somewhere in a nice form and come and sell it to you on Instagram, and you pay for it. All right. So make sure you're committing yourself to reading. The Francophone Minority Community Student Pilot is a way for French-speaking students from select countries to get a study permit. It offers a path for participants to stay in a Francophone minority community outside of Quebec. Outside of Quebec. So the community you stay should be outside of Quebec, okay? It should be outside of Quebec. Now, I'm reading a comment that says we can't hear you well. Please comment below and let me know if my sound is coming out pretty good. This is a live broadcast, so there could be technical challenges. I'd like you to comment to let me know if the audio is good enough, all right? Priscilla is complaining that the audio is not good. Please comment. The sound is good, all right? It looks like others are safe. Priscilla, check your sound. It looks like it's coming from your side, okay? All right. As a participant in the pilot, you would have access to settlement services during your studies. You may also be eligible for permanent residency after your studies. You may be eligible for permanent residence after you graduate, all right? Now, of course, there is an eligibility criteria for you to go through. So who can apply? Who can apply for this? Who can apply? All right. Let's look at the eligibility criteria. To be eligible for the FMCSP, which is the abbreviation for this program, you must meet the following criteria. 1, be a citizen of an eligible country. I will share that with you very soon. You must have a letter of acceptance from a participating designated learning institution that says you are applying under this Francophone minority community program, okay? The program must meet the requirements of the pilot. You must also have enough funds, enough money to pay for your tuition. Living expenses for yourself and family members who come with you to Canada as well should be factored into your proof of funds, okay? The amount you need is based on the size of the community where the campus of your school is located. Now, at the time you apply, they're also saying that you must also live outside of Canada in order to apply. You cannot apply to participate in this if you're already in Canada. You must apply when you are outside of Canada, okay? All right. Now, you should also be able to prove that your French-speaking listening, reading, and writing skills are at level 5 or higher in the Niveau de Compétences Linguistique Canadien scale. In other words, you should be able to pass a francophone test, which is approved by the government of Canada, and be at a level 5. Okay. Now, there are, of course, some testing institutions that you can use to have this exam done. You can take either of these approved language tests. Number 1, Test d'Évaluation de Français, which is TEF Canada, or you can also do the second one, which is Test de Connaissance du Français, TCF Canada. You can take either of these tests in order to be eligible. Now, since this is actually a permanent residence related study permit program that they're introducing, there is a high chance that you'll be doing the general one instead of the francophone, the academic one, if you're doing this. So please do reach out to your school. If you have questions, reach out to your school if you're applying, and make sure that you confirm the specific test type that you have to do. Should I do the language, the academic one, or should I do the general one? All right, there is a likelihood that you will be doing the general one because this is linked to a permanent residence application when you graduate. Okay, now there is also an depending on where you are applying from, you may also need to provide other documents. Now let's go to the eligible countries here. To be eligible, you must be a citizen of one of the following countries that are members of the Organisation Internationale de la Francophone in Africa, the Middle East, and the Americas. So let's go take a look at the countries that are eligible. In other words, if you are a national, a passport holder from these countries, you are eligible to apply. Country number 1 on the list is the Republic of Benin in West Africa. We also have Burkina Faso. We have Burundi. Cape Verde is also there. We have Cameroon. We have Central African Republic, Chad, Comoros. We also have Cote d'Ivoire. We also have Democratic Republic of the Congo. We have Dominica. We also have Republic of the Congo. We have Djibouti. We have Egypt, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, Guinea again. So we have Equatorial Guinea first, followed by Gabon, and then we have Guinea. And then we also have Guinea-Bissau. We have Haiti, and then we have Lebanon. We have Madagascar. We have Mali, Mauritania, Mauritius, Morocco, Niger, Rwanda, Saint Lucia, Sao Tome and Principe. We also have Senegal. We have Seychelles. We have Togo and Tunisia. These are the countries that are eligible. Now, what they mean by country is that you are a passport-bearing member from this country, or you are a national, you are a citizen. So unfortunately, if you are not a citizen of Togo, and you live in Togo as a Ghanaian or a Nigerian or Benin, you're not eligible. You have to be a passport-bearing member of in other words, a citizen of these countries we talked about in order for you to be eligible. Okay. Now, are there other requirements for you to be accepted into the schools where you will actually be doing this program? Yes. So let's look at the eligibility for you to actually be admitted into the program beyond nationality. You must have a letter of acceptance from a participating designated learning institution that says you are applying under the Francophone minority community program. Okay. Your study program must meet the following criteria. 1, it must be at a post-secondary level. In other words, this cannot be a secondary school or less. It must be at a college or university level. It could be a college program. It could be a degree program. It could also be a master's or even a PhD. In other words, post-secondary, beyond secondary school. That is the first requirement there. It must also be a full-time program. It cannot be a part-time. They stated here, it has to be a full-time study. And full-time studies will mean a 1-year program, which is technically 8 months of active studies in school or more than that, okay? The third criteria says it must also be a 2 years or more of study. So, wow, they clarified the previous point by saying that not only must it be full-time, but this time it has to be a 2-year program. So, just to clarify, you will not be able to use a 1-year studies to actually do this. It has to be a 2-year program, okay? Now, the next one says that it must also be able to lead to a degree or a diploma. I think I talked about that already. And then the last one here says it must have French as the primary language of instruction. Into bracket, over 50% of the classes should be taught in French. Wow. I don't know if we'll be able to find a lot more schools or colleges that will be able to meet all this requirements, since we don't actually have a lot of Francophone schools here outside of Quebec. If you go outside of Quebec, it might be a bit challenging to find Francophone, schools that actually are run in 50% or more in French. It could be a big challenge. I suspect that we'll have challenge actually finding all the schools. Hey, but they said they are targeting 2,300 study permit applications starting from August 26th when they launched this. So yeah, you're going to have to do a bit of research to find all the schools that will be eligible for this program so that you can reach out to the school. My recommendation here is that you reach out to the schools that are offering these programs in French or 50% French and find out from them if they are participating in the Francophone community student program. If they say yes, you go ahead and put in your application. You actually do not want to apply, especially if you're targeting this program. You don't want to apply only to find out that the school you are going to or you are attending does not participate or is not a participant in this particular program. Okay, let's go through the requirements here for participating designated learning institution. As agreements are reached with learning institution outside of Quebec to participate in the pilot, they will be added here. How much money do you need? Now, the way they've designed the proof of funds here, it looks like it is based on the population size of the very community or town or city that you will be schooling at. So let's read this. The amount of money you need for living expenses depends on the size of the community where the main campus of your school is located. You must also show that you have enough money to pay your tuition, okay? So that is it there. And then they've given a breakdown here for the community. Group A and over. Group A here refers to communities that have over 500,000. If you click on that, it gives you the breakdown of the number of family members you can include in your application and the proof of funds. That, remember, this is a study permit leading to permanent residency. So therefore, the proof of funds here is kind of looking at your settlement funds and stuff if you are kind of coming in through this program to settle in as a permanent resident. If you are coming alone, just one person, you need to have $20,635, okay? Remember, this figure here on the right, they've written that amount of funds required per year does not include your tuition. So this means just your living expenses, not your school fees, okay? If you are coming and you are a group of 2 people, a family of 2, you will need $25,690. A family of 3, you will need $31,583 in living expenses. A family of 4, 38,000, and then it goes on the way to a family of 7, 54,000. That is if you're bringing yourself and then your other family members, depending on the size, or there you know how much you have to actually pay. Under Group B, if you're going to school or reside in a community that has a population of 100,000 to 499,999, the proof of funds tends to be a little bit lower. So one person will need 17,772 as living expenses. If you're 2, an additional 5K there on top, and then it goes on and on. So all you have to do is take your time and then click on the group. When you click on the group, it gives you the breakdown as well, okay? So that is it there. Now, you might be answering, so can I actually bring my family? Based on the fact that we look at the proof of funds breakdown, it suggests that you can bring your family. Let's look at what they are saying here about bringing your family along for your studies and also potentially permanent residency when you graduate. You may be eligible to bring your spouse or common law partner and dependent children with you to Canada. They may be eligible for 1, a visitor visa, 2, a study permit, 3, an open work permit. You must submit the application online when you apply for your study permit. So you must submit the application online when you are applying for your study permit. Now, would you be able to get access to settlement services during your studies that can support you? Settlement services here are different agencies that can give you that kind of support when you move into Canada. As a participant of this pilot, you will have access to services to help you settle in Canada. You can contact your school to find out about the services they offer. You can also get help before arriving in Canada through Connexion Francophone. which is in French only. These services are provided only in French. And then the third one here, find out if the community in which you study is in one of our welcoming Francophone communities program. Now, path to permanent residency. So if I come through this program and I finish my studies, how do I become a permanent resident of Canada? You may be eligible to apply. You may be eligible for permanent residence along with your spouse or common law partner and dependent children after you graduate if you meet the following criteria. 1, you are a resident of Canada outside of Quebec. In other words, you are not resident in Quebec. You are outside of Quebec, but you are inside Canada. In other words, you can be in all the other 9 provinces or territories except for Quebec. Number 2, you have a valid temporary resident status when you apply. At the time you are applying, you have an immigration status as a temporary resident, such as a student or maybe an open work permit holder if you came with your spouse who is in school, whatever, all right? Or maybe a visitor. All right, this doesn't mean visitor visa holders who are in Canada can apply. I'm just saying that at the time you're applying, you ought to be eligible and also have a valid temporary resident status. Number 3, you have received an eligible degree or diploma while participating in the community program that we just talked about. Now, this criteria here is largely for you if you are the main applicant. So if I am the spouse who is coming to do the studies, I need to make sure that I meet all these requirements and then apply for the permanent residence through this program and include my families, okay? Additional criteria may be required and this could be announced later on. So guys, that is the details of this program there. Now, if you were to ask me in general, the countries that I mentioned, you notice that we do not have a lot of, my own country, Ghana, is not part of it. Like I said, your passport or your nationality matters a lot. Take advantage of it if you can, apply. We are in times where there is a lot of uncertainty about permanent residency or the future for temporary residence. We have probably about 2 million plus of people who are currently in the country as temporary residents, such as study permit holders, open work permit holders, whether closed work permits or open work permits. We also have people who are here as visitors. We have asylum seekers. We even have refugees, several temporary residents in Canada. Some of you are also postgraduate work permit holders and you haven't gotten your permanent residence. Some of you are worried, you are anxious. At the same time, you don't know what is going to happen tomorrow with the way they are changing things, all right? So when you see programs like this come up and you think you are eligible for it and you want to go for it, guys, don't waste your time at all. Go for it. Immigration is changing so fast. There's no guarantee that this government that is introducing this will even be around in the next 1 or 2 years to implement this. All indication shows that they could potentially lose election as well. All right. And when a new government comes under the opposition leader, Pierre Poilievre, we don't know what will happen. But it looks to me that Francophone programs will get more popular in the next 2, 3, 4 years. Just because we have a massive decline of Francophone residents in Canada. People are moving out of Quebec. People are moving out of places that are all French-speaking or majority French-speaking, and they are moving more to the English-speaking communities. And Canada will do everything possible to maintain its bilingual identity. So there is a likelihood that they will actually be running a lot more programs to attract a lot more Francophone. Now, talking about attracting more people who are Francophone, do you know that in the last few hours, there was a draw held to actually invite people for permanent residence application from the Express Entry pool? Now, let me pull the data here so that we can look at it. There was a draw. Let's talk about that draw briefly, okay? Let's talk about that draws briefly. So on August 15th, which was yesterday, my birthday, 2,000 people or 2,000 folks were invited to submit their documents for permanent residency. And the criteria here is that they ought to have French language proficiency. In other words, you did a TCF or you did a TEF, and then you passed and you met the minimum requirement. And you also did your credential evaluation if you need to. You created an active profile and you were in the Express Entry pool. 2,000 folks or individuals were invited yesterday to submit their documents for permanent residency. 2,000. All right. But since they are in the express entry pool, what was the minimum point cutoff that was used to invite them? The point that was used to invite them is 394. This is a CRS score, 394. You see that? The maximum point you could ever get in the express entry pool is 1,200. These people have 394 minimum, and they were invited, provided you have a Francophone or French-speaking test done and you passed. That is why if you're in Canada and you are bilingual, be in the pool. If you're a bilingual person, be in the pool. I know people who are not bilingual, but they are actively studying. Yesterday, I met a Ghanaian who probably cannot, that does not even know Montonso or Matassa or Metese or Professor or Pantalon. But the guy tells me that he's going to work so hard to actually write a French test. I say, hey, you go feed him. He said, I go study. I go do him. He's a Ghanaian, but he wants to take the Francophone test. He's an international student, but he wants to do it so that at least he can be in the pool to see if he has a chance. I also know a Nigerian who I have interviewed on this platform who said, look, Charlie, I know a lot of my colleagues who are committing 6 months to studying the French test to see if they can pass it. And some of them may have studied French in the past, maybe a year or two, but they just want to do anything possible to give them more points. Potentially, you doing the French alone could give you maybe a little over 100 points, depending on your score, or even less, to be in the pool, which is like super cool. Number two, it turns out that anytime they hold a draw for Francophone proficiency or French proficiency, the points tends to be lower. I have seen them hold draws in the last few months consistently, and the points have been mostly in the 300 range. And 300 range is super low, to be honest. It's super, super low. There are so many people who will normally get a 300 plus, all right, or even a low 400, right? Like 400, 410, 455, and stuff like that. So if you are getting people with as low as, a CRS score of 394, and they are getting invited, think about it. It simply means that, guys, if all I'm trying to say is that if you're currently an international student or an open work permit holder, you are not an asylum seeker, you are not a refugee, but you hold a temporary residence, and your plan is to, or your hope is to become a permanent resident, and you know you can attempt the Francophone test and probably do well, consider taking it. Consider taking the general test. If you can't, but you have what it takes to study it, give it a shot. For all you know, it might just make you eligible to get an ITA, which is invitation to apply for permanent residency, in the next few weeks or months if you're in the pool. There will be a lot more draws in the future for Francophone speaking or French speaking individuals. It doesn't matter. Aside from this program where you have to come from a specific country to apply and you have to be outside of Canada, there are all kinds of draws going on. Like yesterday's own, 2,000 people. In the next few days, there could be more, right? So if you are in Canada already or you are even outside Canada, target it. Now, if you are outside Canada, should you still give it a try, especially this bilingual part that I'm talking about? Maybe yes, you can do. But I think your chances are even more better or higher if you are in Canada as an international student, a postgraduate work permit holder, or any of the temporary residents that actually make you eligible to apply for a permanent residence. So please consider this and let me know what you think. All right, let me use this moment to also read some few questions here. There's a live broadcast. If you have any questions, please put them across. Now, Choco, do you have a list of the schools that will be participating? Unfortunately, I don't have the list at the moment. Remember, these are community targeted programs. Or this program I just talked about in this video, it's targeting some communities. So you have to make sure you are finding schools, colleges or universities that are in these communities. And not only that, my recommendation is that you reach out to the school to confirm that they are participating in a Francophone minority community program. If they say yes, then go ahead and apply. Of course, you also want to make sure you check with them that the language of instruction for your courses will be at least 50% Franco-French, 50% French. It cannot be all English. It has to be at least 50% French, all right? So that is it. Somebody is asking, are visitors allowed to apply? I think I've taken a bit of time to explain that. If the applicant who will be applying for the permanent residence here will be the international student who graduates. So long as you are talking about the Francophone minority community program, the main applicant in question here has to be the international student. The international student who is doing a full-time studies, which is 2 years or more, 2 years or more, no 1 year program. So if you were to ask me, are visitors allowed? The question would be, as a visitor, are you enrolling in a full-time program? If not, if you are doing that. Number 2, as a visitor, are you enrolling in a school which is in the communities that have been mentioned, which are Francophone communities? As a visitor, are you taking a course in these schools that are not just DLIs that are participating, but you are also having 50% of your teaching being done in French? If the answer is yes, you are. Now, number 2, as a visitor, are you currently in Canada or you are not in Canada? The criteria clearly stated that you have to be outside of Canada to apply. So if you're a visitor and you are in Canada, you are not eligible. If you are an international student, you are in Canada right now, you are not eligible. You have to be outside of Canada in order to apply. This is basically targeting people who are not yet in Canada, who are looking to come. The number of people they are targeting is 2,300 applications. They are targeting 2,300 applications from students. All right. So that is the cap or the target they have there. So I hope that answered the question for you if you were a visitor there. Okay. Thank you. Let me take 2 more questions and then I'll wrap this video up. Okay. Ghana is out. It's purposely targeting Francophone countries. You are right. Ghana is out. Ghana is out. Okay. Why is Nigeria not included? Please, so don't take an offense. So they are the ones who make the rules and they are the ones who decide which countries they are targeting based on their needs here. So if you don't see your country here, please, no offense here. There will be other programs that you could always look at. Okay. Yeku Joa Nintai, Cameroon is there, and I'm bilingual. Thank you so much. Good for you. Good for you. Cameroon is in the Central African Republic, Burundi, Rwanda, Togo, Ivory Coast. These countries are all there. So if you know some Francophone friends, you have some French-speaking friends from these countries, feel free to tag them in this video and send it to them. There's no French subtitle for this video, so you might just want to send it to them to see if they can get this, okay? I'm a French teacher in Ghana. Can I also apply? Obviously, you have gotten the answer. The answer here is that you need to be a passport-bearing member from the countries that are eligible. If you are in Ghana and you speak French, it doesn't make you eligible for this program. Unless, Ghana is not included, so you are not eligible. Unless you want to apply for express entry by doing your bilingual test approved by Canada, and then you will use it. Remember, there are different ways to get PR in Canada. The Francophone community, minority community program is just a brand new one they just started, which is different from the express entry one. Okay, I hope you understand. Okay, all right, guys. So that will be it for now. In the absence of any more questions, let me see if I can catch some other question here. Okay. Okay, there is no question. I think I've covered all of them. All right, thank you so much, guys. I'll see you on the other side. There will be other videos coming your way, so stay tuned. Subscribe so that when I go live, you can get it. Bye.